Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host, Mike, and let's hop right in. How's it going, everybody? All right, we are here. I was thinking about starting a new character, and I really want to get like a zombie necro going. That's really the big thing I want to do next. Oh, I forgot the stand for my 1 sec. There we are. Sorry about that, everyone. Hi guys. We were talking about doing a volatile zombie necro here, but I'd have to start over from scratch because I don't have a necro that's like ready to go. Thanks for the raiding party. Welcome everybody. We got 91 people coming from Lone Star McFluffin. Welcome to the party, everybody. We are starting our weekly dev stream. Sit down, pull up a chair. We're just deciding what to do here. If we're gonna keep going with Fenton, or if we're gonna try and restart with a fresh necro, because I don't have a prepped necro ready to go, so we have to start from the beginning of the game again. So I guess I'm wondering if we want to, if you want to see me start from scratch again, or keep going in the monolith. I might be able to get one actually. Hardcore solo, oof. I think we'll start with this, and we may flip partway through. You want to see me versus Orbis? Well, we can tackle the shade of Orbis. Did this get fixed yet? Okay, that is fixed for probably for Monday. You want to see me die to the shade? That can be arranged. All right. Starting off fresh here. Should we just try and beeline it for the quest ones? Any special ones? Okay. Let's go here. And we got Lizard coming in with a rating party of 53 as well. Welcome everybody. It's great to have you with us. I hope you all are enjoying the new content, the stream, the patch. Hope you're enjoying the stream too, though. We've got another hotfix coming here. It's either out or will be out very soon. Fix a little performance hiccup we had there with the patch, which was actually mostly my fault. But we've got it sorted out, which is good. Posted a question and asked the devs, but just want to know if you're familiar with Redis. I am not. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I saw that question and was like, I have no idea. Sorry about that, though. Armor shirt is that what I took? I wasn't even looking. The armor is just like non-existent. That avalanche always hurts so much. I need more cold res, I guess. I love this patch, and I love everyone on the team. Thanks for continuing to deliver such an amazing game. You are most welcome, sir. Glad you're having fun. Come on, Paddington, stay with me. Okay, I'm breaking the ice. Any crumbs or snippets of morsel crumbs of info about the upcoming new Primalist transformation skill you can give us? We're less than a week into patch here, and you're already pumping me for information on the next one? Oh, it's a tough life here, eh? No, I'm just kidding. I don't have much for you yet, really. We're still in I guess hotfix mode here for the previous patch. It's going well. Thank you for the sub, Jarzul TV. Yeah, I just want to mention again so we are still raising money for able gamers. So if any bits, subs, if you get any of the notification sound bites that can be played of me making a fool of myself, all of that goes to able gamers. Last week we actually did fantastic. Last week I was so blown away by it, by what happened last week, which was really cool to see. Oh my god. wasn't even paying attention. Is that the first one? So good at this, guys. Where is it? So far, last week, you guys are awesome and raised $313.52 for able gamers, which is really fantastic. Okay, well, now we gotta go to this one. How much corruption are you expecting the most degenerate players to reach? Asking for a friend. If you can get to 4 digits, I'll be really impressed. I know it's possible. So here's my question. When crafting, here we go. When crafting, what will be fixed? High tier terms shouldn't be bricked in the first craft. And sorry, don't come with, oh, you're just unlucky, please. Alright, I got no answer for you then. I can guarantee 100% that the numbers are absolutely perfect. And and this is a challenge I issued on the forums. If you really believe that the numbers are not perfect, and you can provide me with actual proof that they are not perfect, I will rewrite it from scratch. Because I truly believe that if you record how much it actually is, you'll find that you are luckier than you think. With new minion AI is great for the most part, but ranged minions feel a ton better, but melee minions still have a short leash. Will this be improved? Yeah, we are looking at still adding in extra controls. I don't know how to say it, like stances, personalities, aggression, behavior levels for minions. So you can set like, okay, this I really want to be super aggressive and just chase targets no matter what, or I want it to, you know, leash back to me quicker, that sort of stuff. Oh, don't click outside the game. There we go. And that'll be on a per minion basis. We still haven't implemented that yet, but it is something we are looking at. I keep clicking outside the game. 2 of these simultaneously is tricky. Are the odds for crafting visible for us players somewhere? Yes, absolutely. Every time you're about to craft, there's a giant number. Here, let's slap something in here. Let's put armor on it. This is a 100% chance to upgrade. 92% chance to upgrade. That number is perfect. Every single time, no matter what. It is perfect. Like, I know this isn't... I know this wasn't like... It's not proof or anything. But it's not 100% borked. Mike has no idea his camera is hiding it. Yes, Mike has no idea his camera is hiding it. Alright, here, we'll do it again. Right here. This number right here is perfect. It will always show you exactly how much the probability of you succeeding is no matter what. And it is super perfect. There we go, fractured it. Love the patch. Any reason for having to hit the travel button for waypoints now instead of just clicking them? I prefer the old way a lot more. It was to integrate this, the quests into it, so you could click on a location and get the quest associated with it. I'm looking at adding in a right-click or double-click system just to give that quick travel option if you want, or maybe have a. We're looking at that because it did add an extra click to the menu travels. I'll be honest, I didn't really notice it myself because most of the time I use like commands to travel directly because I'm terrible. And I'm gonna bring my camera back up here. Whoop, there we are. Hi guys, I'm back. When the trade is implemented, will we be able to choose the currency we want to trade for, or will we be forced into using gold? Right, the current plan right now is to use gold. That's not to say that's what will go forward entirely. We may look at using some sort of crafting material as the trading system, but for now it's planned to be gold. A lot of stuff with trading specifically will likely get iterated on. I mean, everything gets iterated on pretty heavily. And until we have like a large scale group of people that is actively trading with each other and have an economy emerge, it's hard to really predict exactly how things are going to work. We can run all sorts of simulations and everything, but there's difficulties making it just right. So we're gonna be open to iterations based on how it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna get through at least one monolith, I swear. One echo, it'll happen. Just gonna blame the build. Maybe I should be doing lower level content until I get better gear. What does Shadow Dagger's effect do? I thought it reduced the amount to hit I need to proc, but I have more than 150%. It doesn't do anything. It increases the damage it deals. It used to increase or reduce the threshold to proc, but it has an unfortunate self-multiplicative increase. So each percentage you get of it was more powerful than the previous percentage, so it's an increasing returns stat, which we like to avoid. We like to avoid increasing returns. Decreasing returns we like to avoid too. It's less important to avoid them. But we do generally like to have the amount you get per stat or per point in the stat be fairly consistent going up. It's not one of those things that has to be 100%, but it's a general goal. Alright. Made it to the forge. I mean time gate. What? Is cast speed calculation for duration skills correct? Ice Barrage DPS seems to scale heavily with cast speed, for example, according to the tooltip. Although mechanically it shouldn't make a difference at all, right? Yes, it does make some difference. It's always the enemy avalanches to get me. I'm just gonna load up on cold res. It's only 23. That's the problem. Come on, Mike. Get some cold res in your life. Yeah, it does make a difference. So it doesn't make as much of a difference as it says it makes, but it does make a difference because it is the time between the initial. Oh yeah, all that experience. The time between the initial I'm using this ability to it actually going off. There is that speed up does happen with cast speed on Ice Barrage, so it does have an effect, but not as much as it says it does. I noticed in the new patch that we can now pick up the beer potions. You could always pick them up. Not see any effect from picking it up. It is exactly the same as a health potion. Everything about them is exactly the same. It's just a health potion. I know some people hope that it like makes the screen go blurry or whatever, but it's just a health potion. Hello! New map is cool. Not kind of hard to see the quest mark. Yeah, the gold color int not the best for campaign map. I see a lot of people in game chat ask about. By the way, nice work, guys. Yeah, I swear I was reading that actually as it was written, not not just fumbling through it. I agree that these icons are a little tough to see sometimes, especially zoomed out like this. It's real hard to see that there's stuff that's going on there. Got some quests I should hand in, shouldn't I? Probably. Interesting. Interesting. Any good rewards? Just give them all. Passives. Do I really have idle slots in our? Yeah, I do. Oh my god. Oh right, because. Yeah, I forgot about this. That's why I have idols in my inventory. Yes, we are looking at updating the colors on the map and the size of them to scale with zoom a little bit better. Is there an in-game bug report system? Not yet. Got voice recording. You will be reported, sir. Huh? Did I say something bad? Are there plans to release far in the future to implement more unique classes? Yeah, definitely. There's you may notice that there's some gaps. I don't know how to show this quickly on screen without going into something else, but there are some gaps. The one that gets brought up a lot is there's no Voidcaster. But yeah, we will be shoring up the holes in some archetypes and themes that are possibly not fully represented in games like this that you might be hoping for. We've very intentionally left some gaps, some space for us to be able to expand in the future. I'm not sure which ones we'll be going to first, but I mean, this is pretty far out we're talking because the game's not even out yet, right? I'd really like to be able to sell my unused affix shards for gold, please and thank you. Yeah, I guess we did take away that ability, didn't we? I didn't think they sold for very much. Will be there will be a much more useful thing to do with them than just vendoring them in the future. Sometimes we implement things with certain plans in place for the future that we forget that it's not available yet. So there's like the options of what's available don't quite get fully realized, unfortunately. Come on. Oh my goodness. I need some mana. Where did my mana go? Thank you for the sub. I think that's what that sound is. Oh. Thank you for the sub. Ferroni. I created a little sub counter. It's so tiny on my preview. Is it working? So I got the subs from last week, and then I just put up an arbitrary number to hopefully we get to for these guys. Can we buff gold shrines further? They still feel kind of meh, especially with the new mono giving away gold. Yeah, I'll talk to Michael about it and see what we've got. There's it's funny how many times we buffed gold shrines. It's kind of a meme now in the development Discord. Unix. These are sets. Let's call it a special category. Hey, how's this working for you guys? Oh yeah, look at that. Oh wow, just so great. Just so great, eh? Oh yeah. Enough? There we go. Okay, let's keep going. Is there any plans on making shield throw passive shield barrage that makes the shield smaller, a bit bigger, as it feels like throwing pebbles instead of an actual shield? There isn't, but doesn't mean we won't. Are there plans for mana potions in the future? No, there's not. We've actually really carefully not included mana potions, and pretty well every ability is balanced around the fact that there are no mana potions. I'd say it's really unlikely that we'll add mana potions in the future, but not impossible. I need more cold res badly. Like really badly. Do I have anything that's craftable? Oh! Wow. What is going on here? Let's find these spires. Going the wrong way. Damage reflection. Oh! Like, they'll kill themselves before they kill me, won't they? New feature, bear makes screen go blurry. How do you feel about the state of the two monoliths soft reset echoes? I feel that the corruption one that rerolls all echoes not completed is amazing. It makes me really think about how to do my echo. The memory one I find incredibly lackluster and rarely use. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot to, I think they'll settle a lot still. If that makes any sense. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm like just getting my ass handed to me. I gotta get some more cold res. I'm gonna switch something out for some cold res here. Okay.
Yes.
Not quite what we want. So I'll grab that over here. Do I have any relics for this? This is the type. Lighting res. I can try and strip that. Okay, let's try and strip this. Where is it? Cleansing. Wait, all affixes. What am I doing? One affix, right? Cool. Cool. Okay, we want cold res. I should have a version of this where my face is on the other side, so you guys can like see the percentages I'm looking at. I'm just gonna take my face off here completely for a second while I'm doing this. Seems Paladin have too much fire-based skills, or is it just me? It is a primary element for Paladin, fire. Better dummies, DPS meter when? Probably next patch at the earliest, I would say. Can you please implement a one-to-one trading along with auction house like other games do? Also, please don't restrict the times item can be traded. By times, you mean like time of day or like how quickly? Here, let's get to add stability. Balls. Ah! It's unfortunate. Nothing. Okay, we're looking for relics here. Anything that'll give me relics? That relics? The relic one has experience, isn't it? Figure this out. What is the Ruby Fang set for? Because we can't figure it out. I mean, there might not be everything in the game yet. Yeah. Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember what the primary intention for its use is. What? No Void Caster? Is the Void Knight not a thing? Well, I mean, yeah, the Void Knight is kind of a caster, but it's also a melee class, so it's... I think the thing people are asking for mostly is like a mage subclass that's Void Knight, or a straight up Void Caster. Told that I should skip to current on chat. I'm gonna do that. Scrolling. Alright, what's on screen here? Sorry, if I skipped your question and you'd like me to answer it, please ask again. I am sorry. I get a little hung up in the game and I forget that I'm supposed to be answering questions. Toto97, I can answer your question though. By times, I mean I don't want a restriction time in which I can trade it again, or can we oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense. That's a good thing I skipped that one because I just talked about that. Like once you buy it, it's like locked to your account for an hour before you can sell it again or something like that. I don't think that's a restriction we'd be putting on it. I mean, if we did something like that, it would just be like maybe a bind on trade type system. I'm not saying this is exactly what's happening, but if we were going to do something like that, it would likely be a bind on trade style system whereby it would be an absolute like it can just never be traded again, or it can just be traded again regardless of how long it is. I think likely is what would happen. George of the Pontifex. I really like that weapon. I'm a big fan. Turn my camera back on. Aren't you smart? Thank you. Sorry if it's the answer, but ETA on Falconer? We do not have an ETA on Falconer, no. You guys are beefy. Take less damage from distant enemies. I hate to see how slow I'd kill it from far away. If there is a reason you guys didn't give affix shards the same treatment as gold auto pickup, yeah, there is. Part of it is you don't care. Like when you're picking up gold, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I picked up 1 gold. I picked up 500 gold. It just kind of happens. It happens so frequently. There's no distinction between like, did I pick up polished gold or tarnished gold, or, you know, like there's no different types of gold. It's just gold. But with affixes, there is an element of I'm hunting for this specific affix, and having that that extra step in there really helps to highlight when that actually happens. I guess is like when you actually find the right item. We also do really want them to still feel like items, and having them be just like run over and pick up, suddenly they doesn't really feel like an item anymore at all. And I know that might not be a popular explanation in that point in particular, but it is something that we do want our shards to feel like as an item that you are picking up. And it's not to say that this is 100% set in stone of how it's going to be forever. We did find that they were dropping so frequently that it was arthritis inducing to have to pick up every single one, which is why we have the shard vacuum. But having it show what it is on screen helps. Having you have to click on them to say like, okay, I've actually picked something up, and that's the same explanation of why there's the send it to crafting thing here. So there's that extra pop-up again. I know it doesn't show them all, but it tries to show you ones that are relevant. It's kind of the short version of it. It's a really tough thing to do to, because we know that people really want to go fast, and optimizing how quickly you go through the content, go through the monoliths, all sorts of things is a pretty common goal for this type of game, and we don't really want to stand in the way of that. But there are certain like items that we want to feel like items, and there's certain, I guess, gameplay elements that we want to emphasize as part of the game. And having crafting materials just be a walkover, like absorb item is kind of at odds with that. So we're still kind of working on it. It's a discussion that comes up internally pretty frequently. I doubt everything will stay identical to exactly how it is now forever, but you know, we're working on it. Are we going to be able to highlight crafting materials in different ways via loot fields in the future? I think so. Not 100% sure on that one. So, maybe a choice where players can choose if they want to have mana potions with a craft, maybe. Very unlikely. Do you guys have an idea of how many more skills you want to add for 1.0? Look at the mage. I believe mage has all their skills. Apart from Rune Master, obviously. I guess that maybe isn't obvious, but apart from Rune Master. Currently, Hammer Throw and Shield Throw are making a hit connect sound that does not seem to fit well. Any plans on updating the sound effects for the game? I mean, we're updating sound all the time. If there's a specific sound you think needs to be updated, the best place to leave that feedback is on the forums. Is it intended behavior that the Shield Throw and Shield Bash can be used without having a shield equipped? Shield bash should need a shield, I think. Pretty sure shield bash needs a shield. If it doesn't, that's a bug, I think. Could be wrong here. It's been a little while since I played it. But shield throw, you're not actually throwing your shield. I know it sounds weird, but you're throwing a shield. There is a node in that tree that kind of implies the conversion to throwing your shield because you can't block while it's out. Is there any plans to add very rare runes or glyphs or guaranteed crafts, something like that? Yeah, we've got several things that we want to add to the crafting system. We didn't manage to get it into this patch, unfortunately, but there's always something that misses the patch. And so we didn't actually touch the crafting system at all this patch. Everything's exactly the same as it was before, except you can't crit craft yourself into a negative situation. It's the only thing we changed this patch, and the UI for it, obviously. But we are still working on updates to the crafting system, and yeah, we take your feedback very much. That giant thread that's been floating around right now in the forums of the crafting percentages, I've read every single post in that a couple times over. I may not reply to them all, but I do keep a very close watchful eye on those types of feedback. And we know that having that potential for a failure of a craft at 90% is it leads to moments that feel quite poor. Has there been talk about a way to allow totems to attack the training dummy? It's very difficult. Yeah, we're gonna I got some plans for training dummy stuff. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. The plans to add health numbers so we can have an option to see the current and max HP of enemies and minions. I hadn't come across that request before, I don't think. Maybe at some point, but I don't think we have plans for it now. I can see that being something that could get added in. It's kind of I guess it can be important information. It's almost just like a how beefy is this thing I'm fighting? And I guess you've learned that from fighting it in the past, and also just from hitting it once to see how much damage you dealt. But I guess the relevant information is this thing tough or squishy? And I guess the way we try and convey that typically is just through how physically daunting and imposing is it. So usually the things that are bigger have more health, usually. Not always. But maybe some sort of star beside it to be it's real healthy. Or just an option in the settings for the numbers itself. I don't know if there's any multiplayer concerns there. If we just send the data for how much health it has should be available. We may just be synchronizing a percentage. Yay, camera! Yeah, I'm back. I don't like that soulbond system because items become useless part of the time, and selling it for penny is really useless. Yeah, I was just using that as an example. I wasn't saying that's what's happening. Just to be clear, is if we were going to put a restriction on when items could be traded, it would be absolute rather than time-based. Likely. Just because the system of, okay, well, go log out and come back in an hour, and you can do what you want to do. I don't think that provides good gameplay systems. quite often we can't control, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't always have control to say, like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to play for the next, like, X number of hours or whatever. It's you don't always know you're going to be able to come back and play in that time period or something, you know? I don't know, making rambling, sorry. Is it intended that the arena-like monolith tiles keep spawning waves even when you didn't finish killing the mobs of the current wave? It's a little bit of a bug in the system, I think. It's sort of left over from a long time ago. I can't remember what the cause of it was. But no. I think it might happen when enemies spawn other enemies or something like that, or there's like delayed spawners for things. I am so excited to see what's coming in 8.3 since the roadmap isn't updated yet. So is there any chance for you to say what's coming, what's the next things in 8.3? The roadmap, it does have lots of things that we're working on for 8.3. Yeah, like it's not a roadmap that's like ends at 8.2 or anything like that. Like that wasn't the roadmap wasn't a list of things that are going to be done for 8.2. If that makes any sense. As far as things in 8.3, there's not really much I know of for certain that I can say this is coming for sure. There will be some updates to the Druid. I know we've started working on that. I leveled up at some point, didn't I? Well, that's just fantastic. About 4 minutes ago, we got a sub with Primal Day. Thanks for subbing, bud, with Twitch Prime. Latest patch was awesome. How do those difficult balancing? How do you do those difficult balancing decisions? Is there something like you want to get current content more in line or ready for future content? This might seem for someone like nerfing things with no good reason, if you can catch my meaning. Yeah, I think I understand what you're trying to say. We do try and plan ahead with what we're building, and we try and keep things in a good position for the way we want for it to be fun to play now. But we do prioritize how things will be at launch. So if there's something that needs to be buffed or nerfed now, it's rare this is the case, to make it good for launch, we sometimes will do it early. Just because maybe we need feedback on how it's feeling or something like that. Because really having a solid launch feel to the game is the most important thing for us. We do want things to be fun right now, and having a broken game right now would not be smart, but our primary focus is on launch. Just got one of those, didn't I? Okay, I need to be looking for... I really want... Okay, I think I've got a... little zombie to play. I might do that. Let's see if we can switch over. Take all the shields. All the shields for that. That's what's going on. Let's see if this works. Mike's zombies go boom. All right.
What is this place? Where have I been taken now?
What have I got? What have I got? That's a nice army there. So we've got a new zombie girl. We're gonna do this because weird. And my movement skill has to be E. Lovely. All right. So this is a volatile zombie build, courtesy of Rhymer. Just gonna turn off chat. How long has chat been on, guys? It's been on this whole time. Am I just crazy? Take a quick peek at what's going on here. So we got intelligence, necrotic resistance, minion stats, lots of minion stats. We're into necromancer, lots of minion stats, armor shred. It's like there's attack speed and fire damage, some resistances, extra skilly mages. Looks pretty sweet. What do we have access to? Just the start. All right, we're gonna start over in a monolith, but we're gonna play volatile zombie because it's a little bit more interesting. I do. This is unfortunately gonna be there's a couple shards here, so I can craft anything we want here, which is kind of cool, I guess. Let's go with this one. Was wondering what the design decision behind Spires, the Shooting Tower Echoes was. It's a fun thing that's a little different than just the time gates, whatever they're called now. Oh, I've got to set up a new loot filter on it. Well, I'll just roll with default, I guess. Well, this is much better. Guys, why was I playing that other character? It kind of sucked, didn't it? We'll be able to see the damage on minions at some point, like you have melee skills. Yeah, we're still working on that. It's so difficult to get minions to have their damaging systems work properly, like the tooltip DPS. The like which abilities they have access to. It's a lot of the stuff that they get is generated very on the fly and very organically, I guess you could say. So they like they have their own set of stats, they have their own set of buffs and debuffs or whatever. And that all gets, a lot of it gets created as they get summoned. So it's really hard to accurately predict what they're actually going to be able to cast and do. Apart from like measuring what one of their DPS is and recording it. Which I know is why a lot of people want to have better like DPS dummies and things like that to be able to test that sort of thing. The danger there, and part of the reason why it hasn't existed so far, is that it tools like that lead to build homogenization, which is something that we know that is kind of inevitable, but we try to avoid at least a little bit. We like seeing people come up with these new builds, new creations, new things that they've made to try out and that sort of stuff. And we know a lot of people, they just want to hop in with something that they know is going to be fun and know is going to work. And that's like, there's nothing wrong with that either. And this is just slaying. This is fantastic. Man, who said that Tempest Strike was overpowered? They were wrong. Where am I going? Oh, where am I going? Are we going to be able to highlight craft materials in different ways via loot filters in the future? Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure exactly, but we should do. Scanju, I never used the word wait, to be clear. Very careful not to use the word wait. Will there be a way to check base damage or DPS for Doom and other more rare ailments and effects? Yeah, I think we're planning on having some more detailed information on ailments come up in the game guide. I don't think it's there yet. Modding tools, API for offline clients still kind of on the table for game after game release. Yeah, it's something we're still thinking about. It's not the modding tools. We've never really said yes, we're going to do modding tools. We just said we're definitely not doing it before launch, which is mostly because we just don't know what we're going to do with them, and we know we don't have time to make anything before launch. But some sort of API for figuring out the details of things like what's the stat ranges of... Why am I talking to you? What are the stat ranges of... Oh, yes. Like a specific affix at tier 3 type thing. Having an API for something like that is something that we're interested in doing. All of the classes have a free movement skill except the Sentinel. Lunge requires a target. Is there a reason for this? Is it possible that it could be changed in the future? I mean, well, Shield Rush does count as a movement skill, I would say. Keeping the classes as distinct as possible is pretty important. We try to keep the movement abilities, Transplant and Teleport, obviously being very similar, Shift and Surge obviously being very similar, but we do try to keep things as distinct as possible from one another, just because we want you to feel different when you're playing different classes, and a big part of that is movement skills. So I mean, you never know what could happen down the road, but I don't think we'll be seeing a new movement skill for Sentinel pre-launch. I mean, it's possible that Lunge might get some node that makes it not need a target or something like that. I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, but you know, it could happen. I'm so excited to see what's coming. Oh yeah, no, I've already read that, I think. For monos with AoE Spire Shrines, right away they are super pain. You cannot effectively look at loot, character sheet, skills, passes because there is no break with them. Are you happy with this design? I mean, so like it does create a very different gameplay feel and experience, and it is something that is different. And that's one thing that we get asked a lot, is to have like more different monoliths, and that sort of thing is something that gets requested a lot. So I think from the sense that it does create something different, I am very happy with it. Is it perfect? No. How does the team feel about resists and crit avoidance? Do they seem like they will mainly stay the same, or has there been talk of those mechanics changing in the future? I wouldn't say there's talks of major changes in them. We do minor tweaks to all the defensive mechanics pretty well every patch. I'd say they're in a generally above average position as far as how we feel about them. If you have specific suggestions regarding them, please feel free to head on over to the forums and leave your suggestions there. I'll be happy to check them out. Any plans on making act bosses and bosses in general more dangerous? At the moment, they feel too slow and too telegraphed. Yeah, there's this sort of the campaign really is for teaching for the most part. So like we're introducing people to mechanics, we're introducing people to the styles of things that are going to come later. And dying in the campaign is it's rarely met with good reception. I mean, not to say it's always bad, But the campaign is, especially early on, generally a lot easier than the monolith, I would say. And that is by design to some degree. I'm not even using Dreadshade at all. I should be. Oh, there's someone over here. Come on. Halvar's Pledge. Not overly useful for us. Hold on a second, sorry. There's as we get further on in the campaign, bosses will become more and more dangerous, and I think like Lagon sets a bit of the tone for later game storyline bosses. There's also, he's not completely alone. He is the only dangerous story boss. I'd say there's also some imbalance in leveling build qualities. So like I sometimes get the feedback that like, oh my god, the campaign's so freaking easy, never die ever to anything, and oh my god, the campaign's so freaking hard, it's impossible to get through. And I think that might have to do with the fact that we do spend more time balancing later game builds and how they interact at endgame than we do earlier on. So it is something we look at. Let's go this way. We don't want this game to be PoE like endgame. No, zoom running gets old fast. Cool. I agree that's a generally shared statement by most players that we talk to. That having just something different in general is good in the genre, so they're not overly similar. I'd say we'd probably have the opposite sentiment if PoE was dramatically slower than it is. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I don't think like necessarily inherently better or worse, but I mean we are intentionally making a slower game. Oh, I love this scene so much. Just gotta imagine what's the economics behind this. Like, are they being ground up to feed something really big? Is it like just for fun? What's going on there? This is like how the Undead Emperor feeds its masses, is with ground up worms, giant worms. Does Breath of Cinders work with minions shared fire res? I do not know. I'm not sure what ability that is off the top of my head. But if it says shared fire res, likely yes, because that's usually the term we use for when it affects your minion too, is shared. I'm so excited to see what. Oh, you've asked this so many times. I don't have anything else to tell you, Chen Kao, about 8.3. Is this game going to be playable on lower end PCs in the future? Yeah, we do spend a lot of time on performance that affects everyone, including lower end PCs, every patch. I know there was some hiccups regarding the materials panel that we have fixed, and we are releasing a hotfix for that specifically. All the F is going to do is just fix that one thing. And in the meantime, we actually found a bunch more quick wins with that as well, which is great. Is the game going to be played? Oh, I already answered that. Shield Bash has a no shield node. Okay, yeah. So I mean that's I guess that's what I was thinking of, is that it does by default need a shield. We like to have the like core fantasy of an ability at the base version and then let you break the rules with the skill tree. I guess is kind of the general way that's done. Reimer, what do I take? What do I take? So you just fill in nodes that are already partially completed or paths that are going on. Additional detonations on arrival. Love that. No, we don't want death knights. Extra projectiles. Likely that's what we'll take, I think. This attack and cast speed's always good too. Freeze and stun, I do like. We're just gonna extra projectile chance. So good. So good. When should we expect an update to treeless skills like stances? The treeless skills that are getting trees, we're going to slowly add those as we go until launch. So 1 or 2 a patch until launch type thing, likely. Not all skills that do not have trees will get trees. Some skills will be removed. Like for example, Detonate Corpse was removed from this patch because it was replaced by Volatile Zombie. Lot of reasons behind that. But stances likely will not get a tree. We started making trees for them, and they just kind of sucked. We've been working on ways to still get that type of gameplay in, while not having them be an active skill. So whether that's putting them in the passive tree as a triggered effect, so maybe it's something like, and this is literally making this up right now off the top of my head, something along the lines of whenever you use a movement skill, activate Ephemeral Stance, and whenever you use a defensive skill, use Juggernaut Stance, and like so there's triggered events that switches between the stances. Maybe you take nodes that only have one of them, so you always stay in a specific stance. Like there's different things we're gonna do to try and get that type of feel into the class still, but as an active ability, it really doesn't work very well, especially with a skill tree. And there's already quite a few things in the Sentinel kit that I'd put in that category of not fantastic trees that we are working on improving as well. But a lot of the things that we thought, hey, we could improve this by doing this, we're like, well, that's like the core of what we put in the stance tree. Just didn't work out too well. So it's very unlikely that stances themselves will be getting skill trees. Sorry. I've been pretty clear about that for quite a while now, though, so I hope that's not a surprise to most people. Alright, are there any plans to look over the total length of the campaign? I feel like some parts stretch too long, the area is feeling too drawn out, and needlessly long. Anytime I put a new character through the campaign, I am getting incredibly annoyed with how long the travel from Desert Way Station to Immortal Summit is, as an example. I haven't seen any major things like that are plan on going in immediately, but if you have examples of places that you think you'd like to shrink it or improve that in some way, I mean, head on over to the forums, leave a post, we'll check it out. If the intention is that affix shards should feel more like items and less like gold, then having a loot filter option for them would help that a lot. IMO. I agree. Yeah, definitely. Especially to be able to highlight them, because while we do want them to feel like items, they don't have any physical space that they take up in your inventory, because we do want people to not feel like they are having to decide which ones to pick up and not based on having the space for them. So we do want them to have infinite space in your inventory, which detracts from that feeling of being a item for sure, but being able to highlight specific ones that you're looking for, I think would really help with what we're looking for in overall. help get excited over finding specific ones. When you're like, oh, I've really been looking for a plus skills to this shard, or whatever. You're a little shy on the Ellie res. Can we get buffs to a simple abomination? Maybe. It's not good right now? It's a pretty cool ability. It's a tricky skill for sure, because it's, I feel like we always end up with it either being crazy OP or crazy underpowered. Can we get an evil training dummy with a goatee? We'll name it Blotto. Yeah, there's we'll probably have some. It's not set exactly what we're gonna do with it yet, but I think we are looking at having a something akin to a dummy room, where there's like a group of training dummies all, you know, hanging out in different patterns and different alignments maybe, and maybe the thing that I've seen requested, I don't know if we're going to go this far or not, but the thing that I've seen requested frequently is like several dummies in different patterns and be able to set different resistances on them and be able to set, you know, different like start a trigger to track DPS over a time period or something like that. And, like I don't know how far we're going to go with it, but we get enough requests for things like that that I can see us doing something to help alleviate the issue. I do love the new buttons. So simple. Thoughts on a search bar on the Echo Web? We actually toyed with that for a while. We did have one for a little bit. Or we started to put one in and then stopped. Can't remember exactly what happened there. It won't be for this patch. If we get enough, I guess, of an outcry for it, we'll look at it again, but we're not really intending on doing it now. What are we doing here? Any chance for some classes to get animation overhaul? I feel like the rogue looks great, but others look very lackluster. I mean, we've been going through them and overhauling them over time. I think, like, so often I see animations referred to, and I'm wondering if people are saying if they're talking about the animations. So like the animations, like being the motion that the character travels through, like that would be the animation, and the VFX being that like that little whoosh that goes in around the character. That's the casting VFX, and the summon VFX is the one like coming out of the ground. And so there's VFX and the animation are two different categories there, and I sometimes wonder what people are asking about. So yeah, I think you guys should try and change the map or something at it. It's quite confusing at the moment with the current coloring and positioning of the nodes waypoints for new players to get quite hard. It's the scaling's a little off still. We need to work on that. It is tough sometimes to see the bad things for new players when you haven't been a new player at the game for a long time yourself. So it is good feedback to get about new player experience. We do look forward to that. Alright, minions, take care of things while I stare at my UI. What are we gonna add? We want fire arrows. Let's switch to cold arrows. We do have enough points to get to cold arrows. Let's see exactly what else is here. Yeah, let's go for it. We'll go to cold arrows. What are we doing? We're going all the way to here. Let's get fear. Be afeared of me. Yeah. Frenzy buff sounds great. Have not been using this nearly as much as I should. Mark for Death in there would be really good. Let's just crank this up. Alright guys, let's go. Back to the action. Any prediction if there will be changes in the conversion of damage guaranteed by base stats by like int or strength of the skill and the base damage of the skill has damage converted? Any prediction if there will be changes in the conversion of damage guaranteed by base status like int or strength to a skill when the base damage of a skill had damage converted? I don't think it affects it at all. I think if the damage gets converted, it's just the increased damages of the different type. It's not an element based damage. Sorry if that's not what you're asking. So used to my loot filters that I had on Phantom that the colors just seem so weird to me right now. That's all I've been playing with lately. Idols, idols, lots of idols. Let's just grab them all. Sort out the chaff later. Any plans to restrict items from trading, e.g. exalted items? What are your thoughts on loot-based versus economy-driven gameplay? Yeah, there's we have definitely talked about restricting what items can be traded and can't be traded for sure. That's a conversation that came up real early. How items are obtained, what type of items they are. Those are different things we've considered restricting them on. I don't think we have any solid plans on if we are going to restrict things, and if we are, how we would restrict them. Speedy Gonzalez. I don't know why I'm picking up shards even right now though. Because I know this account has all of them. Really loving the latest patch. One question about the new Forge UI. Does the time to craft an item, number of clicks, open windows take longer than the old UI? Or is it just not being used to the new UI? I think there's one extra click. When you're adding items. So you're still add an item before. And then you have to pick from a list of which one you wanted to. So now you have to pick like the slot that it's going to go in first, so you can pick this to like auto filter or this to open here. So there's one extra click. Yes. Yeah. How the hell did you manage to create Orbis, a really complex boss with no bugs? Because Sam is freaking awesome. Sam did like Sam and Michael did the vast majority of the work for that, and I know there's a ton of other people that worked on that. So if you did and you're watching, I'm so sorry for not mentioning you, but I know Sam especially put in just so much work into that fight, and it is just fantastic. He did a fantastic job on it. That's basically it. Sam's just a rock star. That's how he did it. Will fear be tweaked? It seems far too weak at the moment. Maybe. It's pretty good because it's a hard CC that's guaranteed to trigger. So I mean, I don't think there's any plans to directly buff it right away, but if you've got suggestions for how you would buff it if you want to, please head on over to the forums and leave a suggestion there. Someone's asking, can you please show off the LE playmat? Yeah, I can. I'd be happy to. I think I told someone that if they wanted to see it, they should come to the stream and ask, so I assume that's you. Please excuse mine, it is very messy because I use it every day. Just dust it off a little bit. So this is, is that back here? Oh no. This is, I think we've got a new style in now that's even nicer than this. But if you're waiting for one in the mail right now, this is probably what was sent out to you, if you've got one recently. We've got a new one that includes the new logo style and some new artwork. I think it's similar to the splash art, the Steam splash art. I think what's on the new one? It's so gorgeous. I can't wait. I mean, I hope there's one in the mail for me. Oh, there's one in the mail for me. There must be. It's coming soon. But it is it's very nice. It's got like the stitched. I should have showed this before, but I wasn't in combat. But it's like the stitched edge corner. I don't know if you've got a lot of playmats before, you know that is really a must-have for a nice playmat. It changes the longevity of how long it lasts by orders of magnitude. We'll be able to move our stash tabs between categories. You can. You can't drag and drop them. I tried to do it, guys. I swear. I tried. Caused so many bugs. So many bugs. But you can change them. You just got to right-click on the tab and change the category in the top right. And it now puts it at the end of the category, not at the point that it would be in the tab ID ordering list. So it changes categories. Much better now. Glad you're playing zombies. Can you hover over to see the damage? No, I can't, sadly, because it doesn't have one. It might show tooltip in here on one of them. Marrow shards. That's not tiling well. It's really not tiling well. What's going on there? Oh, something changed there. Something changed there. I'll fix it, guys. Don't worry. Tooltips are both my baby and the bane of my existence. Any plans to add more support or avenues for low life playstyle? I think low life's a pretty well supported playstyle. I've got the there's a few items that really support it well with the boots and the two types of armor pieces, chest pieces, and then there's a myriad of nodes in Lich specifically, but also base acolyte and some other ones as well that really lend itself to it. It's not a overly well represented playstyle in too many other classes, but there is some pretty heavy synergy there in with endurance, which is which is pretty heavily represented in that plays. I mean, okay, so it doesn't work with wards. It's not that good synergy with endurance. Yeah, so look, we are trying to keep classes distinct from one another, and that's one of the things that Lich really has going for it, is that it's synergy with low life builds. So I'm sure we'll end up adding more items, more uniques, more passives that do synergize with it as we go. Oh, it's done. What am I doing? But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where it is for now, at least. Will there be more support for throwing skills through item bases, affixes, or skills? Really like those skills. If you're looking for items which have... Grabbing everything. I don't know why I'm grabbing anything, though. Because I know my boy hooked me up with great gear. Oh, yeah, guys, do you see the commas? Oh, look at those commas. Aren't they pretty? Listen, we won't have base weapons that have the added throwing damage on them, because when we're using throwing skills, you're not actually throwing the weapon, which is why we don't put added damage on the on weapons, basically. and they are balanced to work as such. It also helps emphasize that you can do hybrid throwing melee, hybrid throwing bow, hybrid throwing spell. Like, that sort of stuff is supposed to be possible. But I know there are more throwing skills coming. I can tell you that for certain. There's at least... I'm going to say the wrong number. There's at least 2. There's at least 2 more throwing skills. God, I hope I'm right with that number. Yes, Primalist does suck. No, Primalist does not suck. I was just intentionally playing like the worst Primalist build out there. Really that far behind? Any plans on increasing the number of nodes on the base class, such as Acolyte? You plan to add more Ascendancies, Mastery classes? Yeah, for sure. One thing you may have noticed there is, with the new passive, there's a bunch of space up here. We got room to do stuff. We got room to do cool stuff. I know the switch to sideways may have tilted some people, but it was very intentionally done to give us access to a few things, but more nodes per class, so we can have more connections and less restrictions there, but also to be able to show this information on the side always instead of having to mouse over a tooltip or having that section that covered up the top half of the bar that just disappeared completely once you had it. I love these new little arena interludes in the monolith. This is one of my favorite new additions, I think. Wait, no, they don't do this. I never remember if they do or not. Any plans to restrict items? Oh, I talked about that already. Any plans for more complex crafting in general? Yeah, there's going to be more like crafting support and modifier items get added, and that will increase the complexity of crafting just in general. I still didn't... Yeah. Finding stuff. Good that you have these streams so we get to enjoy you failing a quest and not just pleasuring yourself, just suffering it. I do not take pleasure in your pain. often. Shield Rush without a target is a good skill when used correctly, but it needs a little more work or iteration. There are some updates to Sentinel. That's one of the things we are looking at doing. Can't say Shield Rush is high on the list of things we're looking at, but I'm sure it'll get touched. Thoughts on making the game hardcore only? Nope! Can't do it. Prism wraps. That was a really early item we created. Why no sexy armor in game looks like rags? Ah, really? I mean, I don't know. Pretty sweet itself, just right there. We are definitely adding more in as we go. There's new sets that get added in. There's a new Sentinel set that got added in this patch, or maybe it's coming next patch. Like a visual set. I think we replaced the T0 Sentinel armor. I don't know if that made it in this patch or not. Remember, talk to Alex and figure out which one you want me to do. So any juicy details you can share about upcoming league ideas you've had come up? I'd really rather not share something that might not end up happening with the league. But there's definitely been some really cool ones that have been pitched from the community, especially. That we've definitely taken to heart the suggestions that we get from the community. You guys have great ideas all the time. It's awesome. Are there any plans, some sort of overarching story for the monolith? Just now it feels kind of monotonous. Yeah, so the quest lines are supposed to sort of take that overarching story role. When there's too much specific story elements that go into it, it ends up having this sort of odd, this odd situation where it becomes too specific each time. Like we need some sort of randomization elements, and that's sort of the echoes in between the story echoes. But are you talking like all of the monoliths together, not just like inside each individual one? Maybe. Now we've been asked this a ton, but is there an estimate time for multiplayer? Nope. Why is it hard to have a tooltip for minions? I kind of never understood why. It seems like the common thing when it comes to RPGs. Yeah, so the here's an example. So the skeleton has a set of stats that like each skeleton has. That's just like any other character. And then the skeleton has a list of abilities that it can do. And those abilities, so say it has like, well, first off, the ranged skeleton has a different one than the melee skeleton, so they have different abilities that have different damages that they do. So right off the bat, we either have to put two numbers here or just average them. Then we have to look at the cooldowns, ranges, and frequency that they'll use all of the abilities that they have access to, while trying to guess how much they'll be moving at the same time. So like, say the skeleton mage has an ability called Ice Blast. Whatever, just go with me on this one. And it can use the ability every 3 seconds. And like the damage it deals casting that once every 3 seconds and nothing else is pretty easy to calculate. But then you also have the time it spends moving, the time it spends doing other abilities that it can have, the time it spends moving to get in range of doing other abilities, and then you also have to work out the number for each one that is in the group and different ones. So like it's really hard when there are multiple types in a single ability. So like when there's, say you have cryomancers and pyromancers, or say you have archers and warriors, it throws such a muck into the whole thing. It's definitely a lot easier with something like bear, where there's just one of them. We're working on it though. We're working on it. I'm gonna scroll and catch up. Oh my goodness me. Wow. I'm so sorry. If I missed your question, please ask it again. We're catching up to current though. So does new Sentinel changes involve anything for Smite? I want to play Void Smiter, but its damage isn't that good for empowered monos. I don't think we have much in the way of plan for Smite changes, but we're going to be taking a look at a lot of Sentinel abilities that'll have effects across the board probably. It is... it's difficult to say exactly what it's going to be just yet because we haven't had those meetings yet. We're in kind of this odd limbo time where I don't have a lot of new stuff to share with you guys yet because we're still in hotfix mode for the current patch, and there's nothing new coming for this patch that you guys haven't seen yet, just improvements on what already exists. I don't want to tell you guys new things that are coming that don't end up making it in for next patch because we're just so freaking far out.
It eludes me.
Relatively speaking, you know. Expansions be paid for or not. We don't want to segregate the community. So we don't want to have a scenario where we release new content and it's $10 and say half of the community buys the expansion and half doesn't, and then suddenly you're like, hey Johnny, come play Last Epoch with me. Like, you haven't played in a while, come on back and try it because there's new content. And Johnny's like, yeah, I mean, I'll give it a go again, see how it's going. And then he's like, oh, I gotta pay $10 to even just try the new content. Maybe I won't bother coming back. Or maybe it's just someone who can't afford to buy more games right now. And then suddenly their friends who they play with frequently go off to do new content and they can't join them. And these are the sorts of things we want to avoid. So we do plan to have all of the content be available to everyone who has bought the game in any way. So whether or not you've bought just the basic starter pack, or enough to make your own unique, we want you to still have access to the same core content that everyone else does, and be able to play with your friends. I hope that's a acceptable answer for you. Will the game have expansions? No. So we will have leagues and seasons that will have huge amounts of content that I think will be as big as some games' expansions, but we're going to treat them like leagues and seasons, and they're going to be available. They won't be paid. Seems like most people are just farming for all the outcasts for corruption once they get blessings from everywhere else. I find it kind of lame that the system incentivizes us only really exploring one monolith forever and ever. Is there any plan to incentivize players to explore different monoliths past the blessings? Yes. Not sure the best way off the top of my head to do that, but I mean, we could do something along the lines of making specific rewards available from specific monolith types. Since you're asking about the new player experience, something I really struggled with as a new player is to find out what weapon to use / what's an upgrade and why. If chat has a suggestion of what I should look for, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, it's a really good point for sure, and I think that through the campaign, it's hopefully pretty intuitive. Like if I'm playing a mage or like a sorcerer and I'm casting spells, I'm looking for a wand typically as an upgrade, and most of the time the things you're looking for are, I mean, I'd hope relatively intuitive as far as campaign goes, but once you get into the end game is where having that game knowledge really helps. I will say that there's a lot of information in the game guide that gets overlooked a lot, so that might be a good place to look. But that's a good point about difficulty in telling what's an upgrade or not. Putting the weapon on, especially on classes that aren't minion classes, and just seeing what your DPS numbers on your abilities do is a really good way to tell. Like, if you're using Fireball and you stick on a new one and the DPS goes down, chances are it's not an upgrade. Oh, this is the new arena zone. Hi, I love the new Monolith of Fate, especially the lesser RNG and less punishing deaths. Did this change come from feedback, or was it intentional ideas / both? I mean, a lot of it came from feedback. The version of the Monolith that we had before was sort of close to what we always wanted, but not quite fully realized. This is much closer to what we've been hoping for from the start. So this is the closest we've been. I mean, hopefully the latest one's the closest we've been. It's kind of a obvious statement, I guess. But yeah, a lot of the deterministic nature of it did come from feedback, and yeah. Not to say it wouldn't have happened without the feedback, but I guess that really pushed it a lot. Yeah. I can't tell you exactly what percentage of it was feedback / initially planning. But it was definitely something we heard a lot of in feedback. We try and pay attention. I think we pay attention pretty well. Thoughts on adding some more variety to rare monster affixes? It can start to feel like every rare is either stand close to kill it or kill it twice. Yeah, there's a lot of... It's really tricky to get new affixes into rare monsters, and we've been trying to find some that don't cause problems. There's a real fine line there. Yes, we do want to add more though. Is there an XP penalty when you reach much lower than the monster level, leveling as level 68, level 75 monolith feels slow? There's no penalty, no. You're probably just killing things slower. Probably been asked before, but why do crafting materials go into your inventory straight instead of forge? I think I gave a pretty good explanation early in the stream. I'm sorry, but if you watch the VOD later, right near the start, there should be a very good, lengthy explanation. Hello, is there any plans to add a portal to the Traveler's Camp in the Divine Era and add more areas to the Ancient Era? Portal Traveler's Camp into the Divine Era. I don't think there's any plans for that, not directly. We will explore the Ancient Era more at some point. Foreshadowing. I mean, it'd be like I'm probably not actually saying much there, because like, what do we have? Like a half dozen zones here total, if that. 3. I don't know how many there are. Like 4 zones max there. It would be a pretty huge waste of an era to only have 3 zones in it. How's controller support coming along? I haven't played the new patch, but I can't wait to sit on the couch and grind. It is much improved. There's a pretty big update that happened recently with the controller support, with item pickups that I think helped a ton. And just this morning, we were working on various controller problems with menus, basically setting up a system where we can have menus context-specific commands, which will allow us to work in like inventory management with a controller without using a mouse cursor, which I know many people are looking forward to. Have you guys discussed more alternate ways of leveling that don't require the story? Yeah, I get this question daily now. We don't have any plans to do this pre 1.0. It is something that we are hearing a lot that people want. There's a few reasons why we don't really plan to do it. The biggest reason is just it would be very wildly out of scope for us at this point to add it in. That's right, I came all this way for the ice beetle. Don't worry about it. Leave it alone. It's fine. Not terrible, I understand. But yeah, we hear you that a lot of people don't want to have to go through the campaign with every character, and that's totally fair. The important part, if we were to, and I think that's something that everyone really understands, if we were to include a distinct non-campaign leveling experience, it would need to be the same speed as the campaign, which is really tough to do. Like, adventure mode in D3 is dramatically faster for leveling than the campaign. At least last time I played it. And really all that does is just means that, like, the last half dozen characters I made in D3 never touched the campaign, even a little bit. Which I think is a little unfortunate, because there's a lot that happens in the campaign that's really cool. Will patch cycles going forward go back to the 8 weeks or be longer like 8.2? I'm not 100% sure yet. It's a really tough thing to do because we want to have enough time to fit in large scale changes and large content chunks, but we want to keep it updating fast enough that y'all don't lose interest in us now. But so it's tough, and we kind of play each patch by ear these days. Getting lots of stability here. I might do some quest echoes soon. I will be buying cosmetic items. Wonderful. We will be having cosmetic items. I hope you enjoy them. Will you bring back availability of crafting your own unique in the future? Yeah, if you're referring to the creator supporter pack, we do want to bring it back. It is quite popular. Overwhelmingly popular. We did not expect it to be that popular. Sometimes they go quite quickly, sometimes they take quite a long time to do. We really want to give people that opportunity to leave their mark on the game, and because it's a really cool thing when people are able to find their own unique that they made, and like that's just really special. So we do really love it when people have the opportunity to do that. We just need to balance getting the game finished, you know. And we've got a fairly large backlog of them to work through first. So we're gonna finish the ones we had to do first, and then once that's done, we will look at reopening it. I don't know what that's gonna look like if we decide to do that or not when that happens. But yeah. What is the current limitation on how much action can be on screen at once? How much of a factor has been around counterfight design? I mean, there's like visual clarity, being able to tell what's happening. We quite often use a necromancer like I'm playing right now as the like how crazy will the player's abilities be in that encounter, sort of at the high end of crazy, because this is a pretty high end of crazy amount of spam stuff. Volcanic Orb's another one we use is that, and then we have to think about multiplayer as well. So like, we want people to be able to tell when something's going to hit them and have a chance to react to that. And that's tough with the nature of a game like this because there's so much going on. And really it comes down to feel. So it comes down to trying it, like we like to push the limits and then pull it back. So usually things start off a little too crazy, and then we dial it down to the point where it's just the right amount of crazy. You always gotta have something crazy, right? Alright, where am I going? Are you fond of the idea of trading MTX items? Not really, personally. I think... It feels like there'd be a lot of problems with that. I don't know. I've never thought about it before, honestly, but I think it feels like there'd be a lot of problems with that. It feels like that's opening up to RMT third-party sites. It feels like there's something there, you know? We really want to avoid that being a popular thing. Build is just great. I'm loving this. Just the constant, just like that audio. Love it. Please buff Alluvius with 100% cold damage. I assume you're talking about the sword. I feel like I've got one in here somewhere. You can see what I was checking. Is there one? Oh yeah, I've seen this for the I recognized this tabs from a screenshot that was posted. Yeah, I don't have one. It's fine though. Alright, we're getting pretty close to the end here. I'm gonna do quest echo. Will there be more weapon types at some point, like fist weapons, for example, one-handed spears? Yeah, I think there's really intentionally been gaps in the weapons available, similarly to how I mentioned earlier that there's really intentionally gaps in some of the classes, leaving room for expansion and upgrades and things like that. We really want certain future archetypes to be available and having like keeping every time we add a new weapon type, it's multiplicative with the number of skills we have and classes we have for animation needs. So like for example, swipe needs to have a slightly different animation for one-handed swords, one-handed maces, one-handed axes, two-handed maces, two-handed swords, two-handed axes, spears, staffs, wands. Yes, they're technically a melee weapon. And yes, those animations are really similar for a lot of those. But every once in a while, one of them just, like, the hands being held in, like, different spots on the weapon or whatever just changes slightly how that animation needs to happen. And so sometimes we... That's gonna be a fair few gold there. Might be a little light still. I don't know, I'm only like level 60 or something. So yeah, we'll be looking to add more weapons down the road for sure. But we did very intentionally leave a few of them out. Why don't all zones have a portal? Because there's... you don't always want to be able to go directly to every zone for sometimes quest reasons. Sometimes it's just creating that little bit of tension in, like, how far into this dungeon am I? And having that always safety net of I can just warp back here no matter what based on the waypoint. It creates a little bit of a death penalty in the campaign, I guess. Ramps up that tension slightly. Sometimes it also just doesn't make sense. Any plans to add more belt classes? Current ones are so darn vanilla. Yeah, like we'll be adding more stuff on all of them for sure. This patch we added in, like we redid the swords and two-handed swords and two-handed axes. I think we did. So yeah, we are going through every item type, getting them all to be custom 2D and 3D art, getting them all to be better feeling, all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure we'll slowly add more belts. Belt's an interesting one because it is specifically so like it's supposed to be about the potion slot, really. And I guess having that primary potion focus on the belt does make the affixes tend to be a little less varied. Thoughts about releases 1.0? We know that you release when the game is ready, but is there concern about Diablo 4 PoE 2 releases? Do you see it as being a risk to release at the same time? I mean, yeah, I think if we released at the exact same time, that would be a big mistake. I think the most important thing for us is just to make our own game, and kind of sound like giving an interview at the end of a sports ball event. Just gotta make our own game, really go out there, give it 110. No, seriously, I think the most important thing is just releasing our game when it's ready, when it feels good, and if we can, yeah, avoiding a large release of a similar game in the genre would be wise. But we're really just gonna focus on making our game first. Would y'all consider the mana regen while channeling be only 80% negative instead of 100%? Why does your mana regen stop while channeling? The mana regen stops while channeling because we do really want to have specific... We want to control how long that ability can be channeled for based on the ability itself rather than the... Oh, it's Quiet's belt. There we go. I do really like this belt. It's going to be fun in the update. That belt's probably going to have a change, I think. We'll see. I think it's gonna have to be though. Beelined it down. Getting pretty close to the edge, it must be soon. Any plans on some sort of overarching story? Oh, I think I said that. Is this the Beastmaster? No, this is the Necromancer. It's like the Beastmaster, but undead. When is this unit coming out? I think we're working on it for next patch. I think it's the plan. As far as our suggestions about successful trade league, what is the best way to offer our insight? I mean, if it's hard to give suggestions and feedback on a trade system because I think what we're planning is probably pretty not what you're expecting. Might be a good way to put it. But if you've got general suggestions, or if you've just got goals you want to be accomplished in a trade system, forum's the best place to put it. That's what I do every night. I'll be sitting with Lucas. I think we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? The Ruby Fang. We were. I just sit and read through suggestions on the forums and Discord and Reddit. It's just I just sort of bounce between those three. What I do in my downtime. So yeah, leave them there. I'm sure someone will see it. What class are you playing? I'm playing a Necromancer. This is Acolyte base. Necromancer on Deathless still. Oh, look at that. Hardcore viable, guys. Yeah, I guess I could go over. We're getting pretty close to the end of the stream here. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to finish this Echo, and then I should have done the quest echoes more. I guess I wasn't going to finish them anyways, but go over what build I've been playing. You guys can take a peek at it. This is courtesy of Reimer. He built this fantastic build for me to play on the stream. To which I say thank you very much, sir. He even named it after me. Mike Zombies Go Boom. I appreciate the naming because I think you knew I wouldn't be able to find it in my list of characters easily otherwise. I set up a loot filter for it. I'm gonna keep going with this character for next stream though, for sure, because I'm really liking this type of gameplay, and it seems strong too. I mean, it's only Folly Outcast, so it's whatever. But feels good, man. Yeah. Gonna have to organize my Sadash a wee bit. Get a loot filter set up, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, Necromancer. This is our passive tree. We've got 3 unspent points here. Let's see if we can put them in something fun. What has the word minion? Like 90% of it in here? Yep, that's what I thought. I might need that for the vitality. All res. Let's just crank some into that. Let's go through our skills real quick, just so people can see what we're rocking with. This is Dreadshade build. Take screenshots if you want to see it, so you can compare with build guide or something. And we've got one for transplant. You came down here. I don't need to bleed myself, I don't think. Let's get that lit area up. It's always good. I mean, okay, so this is good. I was talking about diminishing returns and increasing returns, and part of the reason we use area instead of radius is because of that increasing and diminishing returns on the total space hit. So if we use radius, each point in the node would be more powerful than the last because it would actually increase by a greater amount of area per point. So that's why we use area instead of radius. Will you add loot mystery boxes? I think it's such a huge question. I mean, the short answer is no, not in the sense of like loot boxes as a terrible taboo thing. Oh, I like totally missed. Oh no, I didn't miss. Sorry, my bad. But I think there are times that people have done random MTX in a positive way. The example I always come back to is when Riot did the mystery skin gifting. I have no idea if they're still doing it or not. But that was I thought that was really cool, where the amount you were paying per random skin gift was basically the cost of a cheap one, and it was always sending it to someone else, and it was like they're basically getting even value for what they're spending anyways in the worst case scenario, and then the best case scenario is way more value than they paid for, which I thought was always really cool. So it's sort of instead of your like, if you paid $10 and on average you're getting something that's worth $1, but every once in a while you get something that's worth $100, that's just gambling and not awesome, especially if you can then turn around and sell that, which is what I was concerned about earlier with being able to trade MTX. Is it really becomes a gambling system, and that's not good. We don't want that. I could see having some sort of system whereby and I'm not saying we're going to do this or not, but if we did do any sort of mysteries loot box style thing, it would be very limited capacity, and the rate of return would be very positive. I mean, it's such a dangerous thing to even dip your toe into these days. I doubt we'd do it. All I'm saying is there are ways to do it not awfully. Yeah. I'll hammer out a couple more questions here before the end of the stream. Is there going to be a way to refund all your passive points at once for some large amount of gold? I think more importantly is we'll have some sort of system by which you can reorganize your passives and have this is how much it's going to cost. Do you want to do it? So you can like take points in and out, and it'll tell you if you've got like a legal tree and why it's not legal, and all sorts of things. So you can just rebuild your tree and then say, buy this respec, instead of having to remove this 1 point, pay for it, yes. Remove this 1 point, pay for it, yes. And I know that's clunky right now. We've just got to build that. Thanks for the patch and very fast fixes. Great work. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're having fun. Is there any particular reason there's no shoulder slot, item slot, gameplay wise, or purely a cosmetic reason? We did want to keep the number of slots limited to some degree. Getting too many slots can get like a little bloated, a little out there. It's something that we could add down the road, but for now it's I guess just keeping things a little bit more simple. Keeping that complexity to a point where it's more manageable. I just realized the sound for the game stops every time I click out of the window, doesn't it? That's a new thing we added. I forgot we did that. Is there a setting for that? New game with non-focus. Alright. Thanks, Dario. I think you added that. Appreciate that, bud. I remember talking to you about that. Why does it seem that all systems rotate around punishment? I'm not sure what you mean entirely, but I think an example of a system that doesn't rotate around punishment would actually be, I get over here without seeing it, whatever, would actually be the extra reward you get from not dying, and it's sort of a bonus for completing it without death, rather than a losing experience for dying. I mean, I guess it is the punishment is you don't get the extra reward. I guess it would be a bonus for not dying if we didn't tell you what it is, but that's part of the deterministic nature of it that we wanted to keep in there. We've got a new sub. Heavy Gaming TV has gifted one sub to Any Noel. I'm so bad with the name stuff. Trying hard, guys, I swear. Thank you very much for that donation, Heavy. I appreciate it. Able Gamers. Great cause. Everyone gets the game. No leak this stream, Llama. I'm sorry, I don't have anything for you. We're in that sort of weird spot. I don't have anything new for you. Sorry. Well, I had a blast tonight, guys. I hope you did too. We will be continuing this next week. I'm sure I'm gonna have all sorts of fun stuff eventually for you. But yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for stopping by.